Hi, this is Daryl Myatt from Keller, Texas. Today is Tuesday, February 8th, 2011. I feel like I'm finally over my Super Bowl visit. Feel a lot better today. Sorry I was a little sluggish yesterday. It's a long day. Anyway, let's have a look at what's going on today. This first story out of Ynet News. Army Chief Ashkenazi says prepare for all-out war. In his final days on the job, Chief of Staff Ashkenazi warns about growing radicalization in the region. Given recent changes across Middle East, Israel must prepare for a battle in several theaters, he says. Given recent changes in the Middle East, Israel must prepare for a battle in several theaters, outgoing IDF Chief of Staff Gabi Ashkenazi said Monday at the Herzliya conference. The connection between the different players requires us to contend with more than one theater, he said. The radical camp in the Middle East is gaining strength, Ashkenazi warned, adding that the moderate camp among the traditional Arab leadership is weakening. He also made note of what he characterized as the fascinating phenomenon whereby power is shifting to the people of the region thanks to online social networks. The Army chief said that in the wake of the growing threat of radical Islam among Israel's neighbors, the defense budget would have to be boosted in the coming years. The main change faced by the Army is the widening spectrum of threats, he said. Because of this spectrum, we must prepare for a conventional war. It would be a mistake to prepare for non-conventional war or limited conflicts and then expect that overnight the forces will operate in an all-out war, he said. However, Ashkenazi said that both Hamas and Hezbollah pose only a limited threat to Israel at this time. He said, I do not underestimate Hamas or Hezbollah, but they cannot take over the Negev or Galilee, he said. And that story just disappeared from the face of my computer, so I guess I'm finished with that one. Anyway, very interesting to see all these threats related to Israel surrounding them at this time. Here's a story out of WorldNet Daily. An Egyptian journalist says the U.S. is the next target. Outlines plan to transform America into an Islamic state. Something that doesn't sit well with me. An Egyptian journalist interviewed on the nation's Al-Rama TV outlined a plan for increasing Muslim influence over America, boldly declaring the U.S. will be transformed into an Islamic republic. That makes me sick, because I, for one, will die fighting against America becoming an Islamic republic. Okay? In God I trust, not their God they call Allah. Different God. A lot of people like to say Christians, Muslims, and Jews all worship the same God. Well, Christians and Jews do. However, Jews don't recognize Jesus Christ as the Messiah. But Muslims, no. They worship a different God. One that tells them to kill those who don't believe the way they do. One that says Jesus Christ is not the Son of God. Among other things. It's a whole different sermon. But we must take a stand and fight against this evil called Islam. We will not allow America to be overtaken by this evil force. We will not. In God we trust, and in God we stand. This is a democracy. If you don't like the way America is, get out. Go back where they do have Sharia law and Islam as the main religion. Okay? There's lots of places in the Middle East that have that. Go there. Don't come here trying to change us. Okay? Shortly before massive riots backed by the Muslim Brotherhood broke out in Egypt, journalist Atta Abd Al-Aal told his interviewer in a video translated by the Middle East Media Research Institute that he had even heard a sheikh in America declare that the most important place for the future of Islam after Mecca and Medina was the United States. The presence of Islam in the America, Al-Aal insisted, has grown so rapidly that it has become of great alarm to the Zionist circles in the U.S. The journalist explained a three-step plan for increasing Islam's influence on the U.S. The first step is through conversion. The rate of converts to Islam in the U.S. is very high, rising on a daily basis, he insisted. These converts adhere to Islam with total conviction. The second step is to turn those converts into preachers who convince others to convert to Islam. The third step is to reverse many Muslims' avoidance of ballot box and instead encourage those faithful to Allah to take up the vote. Okay, let me just go and see what Brother Paul said in Galatians 1, starting in verse 6. I marvel that you are turning away so soon from him who called you in the grace of Christ to a different gospel, which is not another, but there are some who trouble you and want to pervert the gospel of Christ. Islam. But even if we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you than what we have preached to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so now I say again, if anyone preaches any other gospel to you than what you have received, let him be accursed. In other versions it says, eternally condemned. Is Islam another gospel? Well, technically no, because gospel refers to the good news of Jesus Christ, so there can only be one gospel. However, if they're preaching something other than Jesus Christ being the Savior of mankind, let them be eternally condemned. I present to you Islam is a different gospel than the one of Jesus Christ. You know, people, I'm a peaceful man. I'm not a warmonger. I haven't been in a fight since, gosh, it's been probably 25, 30 years. Never lost a fight, though. Let me say that. I don't adhere to violence. There's a better way than violence in nearly every situation. And I know Jesus said turn the other cheek. However, Jesus was perfect. I am not. Somebody strikes me on one cheek, I'm going to knock the crap out of them. Sorry, that's what's going to happen. Someone comes and tells me that America is going to become an Islamic nation and we're going to live under Sharia law, I'll fight that to the death. I will not allow my children, my daughter especially, to live under this vile, evil influence called Sharia law, where women are nothing more than property. One woman counts as a third of a man. A third. 3 women make up are equal to 1 man. They have booklets outlining how to beat your women. They approve beating of their wives, their women. Muhammad had an 8-year-old bride. Some say as young as 6. I say that's perverted and disgusting, and I will not allow anything like that to flourish in my country. This is America. Love it or leave it. If you don't like it the way it is, a democracy that trusts in God, then get out. Okay? Sorry if I've confused anybody and left you wondering how I really feel. Anyway, here's another story out of WorldNet Daily. The Muslim Brotherhood awakens their terrorist wing. Look what Obama's support for Islamist group is doing, says this story. This out of Jerusalem. An Egyptian Islamist terrorist organization founded by the Muslim Brotherhood is reestablishing itself amid the political upheaval in Cairo, WorldNet Daily has learned. Both Egyptian and Israeli security officials said the group, where do they get these names? Al-Gama'a, al-Islamiyya, I probably butchered it, sorry, is being reconstituted at the direction of the Muslim Brotherhood. The officials affirmed this group serves as the de facto military wing of the Brotherhood. Let's see, and they go on to list their suspected involvement of the 1981 assassination of Egyptian President Anwar Sadat, 1995 attempted killing of Hosni Mubarak. It names many deadly terrorist attacks in this story. The Muslim Brotherhood seeks to spread Islam around the world, it says. They want world domination and Islam and Sharia law to be everywhere. Let me tell you something, people. America needs to take a stand against this vile force. We need to take a stand and say no, not here, not in my country. Hamas and Al-Qaeda are violent brotherhood offshoots. You know, that is what they want. We know there's a one world religion coming. Man, if it's going to be Islam, I pray and pray for a pre-trib rapture. Father, if it's a Islamic world religion, get me out of here, because I'll die fighting it, one way or another. Here's something out of Israel Today. This guy says God wants Obama to solve Israeli-Arab conflict. Former U.S. National Security Advisor James Jones on Monday said that he believes it is God's will that President Barack Obama push hard for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which Jones calls the epicenter of all the world's problems. Well, he got part of it right. Speaking at the Herzliya conference in Israel, Jones said, "I'm of the belief that had God appeared in front of President Obama in 2009 and said if he could do one thing on the face of the planet, and one thing only, to make the world a better place and give people more hope and opportunity for the future, I would venture to say that it would have something to do with finding the two-state solution in the Middle East." Let me inject something here. Apparently this guy does not know God very well, or his Bible. Let me go to Ezekiel 37, verse 22. That says, "And I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king over them all. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall they ever be divided into two kingdoms again." Okay, how about Joel 3, verse 2? What happens to those? "I will also gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment with them there on account of my people, my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. They have also divided up my land." Okay, how about Zechariah 12, verse 2? "Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of drunkenness to all the surrounding people when they lay siege against Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall happen in that day that I will make Jerusalem a very heavy stone for all peoples. All who would heave it away will surely be cut in pieces, though all nations of the earth are gathered against it." This guy needs to know his Bible before he starts trying to speak for God. Jones insisted that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is the knot that is at the center of all the mass of all regional and most global diplomatic problems today. Really interesting, after I just read something very similar to that. This conflict, says Jones, is one of the most important issues on the planet. Very interesting. Alright, let's move on. This next story out of Telegraph.co. Iran test fires a new supersonic missile. Iran's Revolutionary Guard have test fired a supersonic ballistic surface-to-sea missile capable of hitting warships and targets within a 300-kilometer range. I saw the video. Wasn't that impressive. It was okay, I guess. The missile, called the Persian Gulf, something real original, is supersonic, immune to interception, and features high-precision systems. Chief Commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guards, Brigadier General Mohammad Ali Jafari, was reported as saying on Iranian state TV on Monday. I'm sorry, that just sounds like a name I would hear from Alibaba and the 40 Thieves or something. Not making fun, just sorry. I have that kind of sense of humor. Jafari said the Islamic Revolution Guards Corps is currently manufacturing 500-kilometer stealth radars and has plans to mass-produce long-range passive radars with a range of 1,100 kilometers. So they're test-firing this new supersonic ballistic missile capable of carrying nuclear warheads, by the way. Wait, I didn't think they were pursuing those. Here's something out of the Depka file. It says lawlessness spreads in North Sinai as Hamas transfers Al-Qaeda cells. Okay. I just when I see that word lawlessness, it's straight out of the Bible, talking how lawlessness, godlessness will increase. Intelligence updates reaching Israel reveal that Hamas plans to follow up its attack on the Egyptian-Israel-Jordanian gas pipeline Saturday, February 5th, with more large-scale operations against Israel, using Egyptian Sinai as its launching pad. More than 1,000 Hamas gunmen have infiltrated North Sinai from the Gaza Strip and seized control of the region. They were followed by al-Qaeda cells, which deployed from Iraq in the Gaza Strip. Hamas has established a command center in North Sinai for coordinating its operations with the Muslim Brotherhood in Cairo. Just amazing watching this go. I'm not going to read the rest of this story. I think you get where I'm coming from, right? Here's something out of Yahoo.com. Israeli Prime Minister says peace can come apart. Well, there's the understatement of the year. Israel's Prime Minister is warning that peace treaties can be canceled, hinting at his concern over the turmoil in Egypt over anti-government protests. Benjamin Netanyahu said peace is not necessarily permanent. He said it can be raveled from without, it can be unraveled from within. He did not mention Egypt by name in a speech yesterday before European Parliament members, but he has expressed concern about a takeover by Islamic radicals who might cancel the Israel-Egypt peace treaty signed in 1979. Also, Netanyahu warned that the greatest danger to world peace is radical Islamists getting nuclear weapons or a nuclear power-going Islamist. He said the first is called Iran, the second is called Pakistan. I love Mr. Netanyahu. He speaks his mind, and he speaks the truth, and he knows the true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Here's something from theblaze.com. Speaking of the peaceful religion, 2 Christian teen girls were shot dead in India for what? For reading a Bible. The international news website Boz News Life reports 2 teen sisters in India were brutally murdered when a group of Muslim militants found the 2 reading a Bible. A Christian missionary is the source of this story. Says suspected Islamic militants have killed 2 Christian teenagers who were reading the Bible in the disputed Kashmir Valley, divided between India and Muslim Pakistan. The victims were identified as Arifa, 17, and Akhtar, 19, the daughters of Ghulam Nabi Dar, said local missionary Mercy Sinaraj, who knew them well. The murdered girls were believers and used to read the Bible through underground ministries. So shot dead, reading a Bible, not hurting anyone, not causing any harm. Let me ask you, who wants to stop the gospel of Jesus Christ? Oh yeah, it's Satan, the devil, the enemy of God. So, let me ask you, under whose authority do you believe these Muslim militants were working under? One and the same, the devil. Because that's who they pray to, even though they call him Allah and think it's God. It's the religion of the devil, people. It goes against everything God has said in His true word, the Holy Bible. They have twisted and perverted the truths found right here to further their own agenda. Alright? We cannot let this infiltrate our country. We cannot. We must stand up and fight against it, however way possible. Here's something out of Israel National News. Digging on the Temple Mount to erase traces of Jewish altar. Muslim religious authorities are concluding a clandestine 8-month dig on the Temple Mount that is intended to erase traces of the Jewish temple's altar. Temple activists are charging. The digs have been taking place under the Dome of the Chain, believed to have been built over 1,300 years ago. For 8 months, the dome, which has a diameter of 14 meters, has been surrounded by a metal fence and black cloth, which hide whatever activity has been going on there from outside inspection. The Muslim Waqf religious authority has claimed the activity is simply a refurbishing of the structure, but refuses to let Jews or tourists go near it. Jewish activists made various attempts to enter the dome, but met with no success. In the end, our Temple Mount news outlet found an Arab who was willing to take photos inside the compound. The man said it appears the Waqf has already completed its digs and is now covering the dig with dirt. The Temple Mount notes that, according to Jewish tradition, the place where the Dome of the Chain is located is the spot upon which the sacrificial altar stood in temple times. Temple activists said that the Muslim digs are intended to erase the Jewish connection to the Temple Mount. Try as they will, They can't erase God and the Jewish people from the Temple Mount. Okay, I'm still talking on suffering. I hope you're not getting tired of it, but let me go to 2 Corinthians 4, verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. While we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen, for the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Now, you may have heard someone once said, if it weren't for death, life would be unbearable. Now, as strange as that may sound, it's actually pretty true. Right now, we're locked into this fallen and broken world. Pain, suffering, affliction are just part of the package of living here on earth. It comes with the territory, and it always will as long as we're on this earth prior to the return of Jesus Christ. But there is a way out. Okay? We won't always be locked into this condition. Whether it comes through the natural process of physical death or whether it comes via Christ's return, we're going to shed these mortal bodies we're in right now and become just like Him. You can read about that in 1 John 3, verse 2, where it says, Beloved, now we are children of God, and it has not yet been revealed what we shall be, but we know that when He is revealed, we shall be like Him. For we shall see Him as He is. Okay, we're going to leave this world behind, and we're going to enter into God's actual presence in heaven. And when we do, all of our trials, afflictions, sufferings, and troubles will vanish away forever. Now, I think the book of Revelation expresses it best in Revelation 21, verses 3 and 4. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and He will dwell with them, and they shall be His people. God Himself will be with them and be their God. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. All these things are gone forever. So as real as our suffering is right now, its absence in eternity is just as real. Okay? We live in a fallen world. We have trials, tribulations, suffering, pain, sickness, death. This is but for a moment. Okay? As Paul said in the Bible, our life is but a vapor, just a mist. So no matter what your trials entail right now, keep that thought in mind. They're not forever. They're temporary. God guarantees that they will eventually end. And when you weigh that against what awaits you in heaven, all the hardships you ever endured are going to seem pretty small and trivial. So hold on to that thought as you're going through whatever you're going through. And trust me, I'm right there with you. I'm in real estate. And things aren't always going too well this time of year. So, I want to encourage you that what you're going through is temporary. It'll be over soon before you know it. And I pray that God will continue to guide you and bless you and strengthen you and to help you come through whatever it is you're going through. God bless you. Good Lord willing, I'll see you again tomorrow.